Ice bust in Georgia, and France is on fire. It's 5 and 10 from Skywatch TV. 5 things you need to know in about 10 minutes for Thursday, September 11th, 2025. I'm Derek Gilbert. Yes, 24 years ago today, life changed for the entire world, not just for us here in the United States, in a very real way, in a lot of ways. And this is a week in which life has changed for us here in the United States. Again, item number 5 today, of course, Charlie Kirk. Talked to you briefly about this yesterday. We are back home again now. And by the way, thank you for your prayers for my mother. Things have gone as well as can be hoped. She should be back out of the hospital by tomorrow morning. So again, your prayers very much appreciated. Charlie, as you know by now, was assassinated. There's no other way to describe it. At an event at Utah Valley University yesterday, the assassin, as of this recording, still at large, although the FBI does appear to have some very promising leads, including the weapon that was used in the attack and some doorbell camera footage from a neighborhood near the campus that appears to show the person of interest in the case. But again, as of this recording on Thursday afternoon, no arrests yet have been made. 2 people were detained, questioned, and released. President Trump has announced that flags across the country are to be flown at half-mast through Sunday, and Charlie will be posthumously awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom. However, today, the day after, as news of this spread across the social media platforms, the hatred on display is absolutely breathtaking. It is rather ironic that those who profess to hate fascism are the ones who are celebrating the silencing of a voice they disagreed with by violent means. That's a tactic of fascists, so I am informed. Anyway, the sad thing is that Charlie made his mark in this world by going to college campuses and engaging with people in respectful debate, calm, rational discussions of topics. Now, he didn't often agree with the people who were coming to question him. He was known for sitting at a table with a proposition and then the sign that said, "Change my mind." And often he would persuade the person on the other side of the table to change their minds. Often they left with an agreement to disagree, but there are those on social media who think that they're protected because they're on this side of a screen and a keyboard in dancing on the grave, virtually speaking, of a young man whose life was cut short, leaving behind a woman who loves him and 2 children who will now grow up with pictures and stories instead of their father giving them love and guidance. And Charlie was effective at what he did, which may be what made him a target. When you look at recent polling, young men aged 18 to 29, these are the Gen Z, this is the Gen Z generation, young men aged 18 to 29 swung from supporting Democrats by a margin of 62% to 36% in 2023 to supporting Republicans, 52 to 34 in 2025. That is a 44 percentage point swing in just 2 years. And it explains why Democrats are panicking and spending tens of millions of dollars on consultants to try to get their message across to young men. It's why they put Tim Walz in camo and sent him out on a bogus hunting expedition to try to make him look more manly and appeal to guys. Now, is this change among young men all Charlie Kirk, or is it young men just looking around and recognizing that the deck has been stacked against them by liberal policies over the last 4 or 5 decades? Could be a combination of both. But he definitely was impacting that demographic. And now, rather than silencing him, Charlie Kirk has been turned into a martyr. I suggest we honor his death by pursuing his goals the way he did, by putting Jesus Christ first and foremost, and by not compromising on truth. He did not present a squishy version, a squishy worldview where everything is okay. I mean, Jesus was God Almighty. The same God that gave Moses the law on Mount Sinai is the one who came down and taught the disciples for 3.5 years. But Charlie did it with respect and with gentleness, despite smears that claimed that he was calling for violence and hatred against certain marginalized groups. That is just patently, observably untrue. You can go find the videos online for yourself. The irony here is that Charlie's organization is called Turning Point USA. And it feels like his death yesterday, September 10th, is in fact a turning point for the USA. The question is whether this road now leads to revival or to revolution. Credit to Sharon for that observation over breakfast this morning. Moving on, item number 4, that is, Charlotte, the killing of the young Ukrainian refugee, Irina Zarutska, on a commuter train in Charlotte highlights not only the willingness of the leftist media to cover up news stories that jeopardize their favored agenda or narrative, but the broader failure of so-called criminal justice reform. To recap the story, DeCarlos Brown Jr., a 34-year-old homeless man, her alleged killer, we have to say, despite being caught on the security camera video that has now gone viral on social media, had been previously arrested 14 times in North Carolina for crimes ranging from assault to firearms possession. In fact, his own mother admitted he was schizophrenic and should never have been allowed back out on the streets. But she didn't want him home for fear of the safety of herself and her family. Well, Brown was recently released on cashless bail by a progressive magistrate judge. Well, the Daily Wire's Megan Basham reports another factor in the death of Irina Zarutska on Charlotte's light rail, the left-wing MacArthur Foundation giving Mecklenburg County, in which Charlotte sits, a $3.3 million grant to reduce the jail population specifically as part of racial equity aims, end quote. Now, it's tempting to make this story about black on white crime, to turn this into a racial issue as if we in America didn't already have enough problems with tension between the races. I mean, here you've got a video, a very shocking video, showing a large black man, allegedly, we have to say, executing a brutal attack on an attractive young blonde woman. But let's not let color cloud our vision. The problem here is evil, not skin color. Evil is evil regardless of color, and it should be punished as such. We should not have a two-tiered justice system, and that is what the MacArthur Foundation and other left-wing NGOs like it have been financing here in the United States. That needs to be done away with, and justice should be done regardless of skin color. Item number 3 today, France is on fire. The president of France, Emmanuel Macron, saw his government fail to survive a no-confidence vote Monday. That wasn't even a close vote. Prime Minister François Bayrou was voted out by a 364 to 194 no-confidence vote. The big problem was Bayrou's unpopular idea that France needed to cut spending in order to solve its growing debt crisis. France, about a quarter of its federal budget goes to pay for pensions. And you just got too many old people and not enough workers at this point. Well, the problem in France's case, well, actually everywhere socialism has been tried, is that sensible and socialism are two words that don't often work together in the same sentence. Anyway, protesters Wednesday set fire on streets, blocked highways and gas stations, part of a new nationwide movement. The French government deployed 80,000 police to the streets, made hundreds of arrests, and fired tear gas to disperse the crowds. The bottom line in France is that it's beginning to look more like rebellion than just protest. Item number 2 today, the same is true in Nepal. Nepal, the mountainous country in the Himalayas, wedged between India and China. So-called Gen Z protesters have backed the country's first female chief justice to temporarily head the government. They called for parliament there to be dissolved Thursday. This is 2 days after deadly demonstrations forced the prime minister of the country to flee. Apparently, young people there sick and tired of watching the children of government ministers showing off on social media about their expensive cars and handbags and so forth, while the rest of the country is barely getting by. Unemployment over 20% in Nepal. Demonstrations being called the Gen Z protests, as most of the participants are in their teens and early 20s. This has triggered the worst upheaval in Nepal in years, forced the prime minister to resign Tuesday, a day after 19 protesters were killed. The death toll is now 34. Some 1,300 rather have been injured. The army has taken control of Kathmandu, the capital city of Nepal. Government ministers have fled the country, some of them being hauled out of the capital in baskets being carried off by helicopters. It almost reminds you, if you're old enough to remember, the evacuation of Saigon back in 50 years ago. Anyway, government buildings were set on fire. Businesses set on fire included several hotels in tourist towns and the Hilton Hotel in Kathmandu. We'll have to watch the situation to see how this all plays out, because, again, the country is wedged between India and China, and those two nations both have some claims in the Himalayas that overlap. Nepal not part of that, but one wonders if this sort of unrest might spread, or if the protesters might call on one nation or the other to come in and help set things straight. Coming up, a bust by Immigration and Customs Enforcement in Georgia, rather large one, but not the ethnicities arrested that you would expect. That's next on 5 and 10.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we want to remind you that Skywatch TV is a viewer-supported ministry, and right now your support helps us not only stay on the air, but also continue the mission through our networks and digital platform, reach areas of the world with the gospel message of Jesus Christ that are unable to financially support us. When you order the new book, Golgotha's Groaning, packed with stunningly unique biblical disclosures from Genesis to Revelation that will shake the end times world, we will send it to you as our gift for your donation of $25 or more. Now, that includes free shipping to all U.S. addresses. So again, for your donation of only $25 or more, you'll receive Golgotha's Groaning with free shipping, and you'll be helping Skywatch TV continue reaching the world with the gospel. You can scan the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone for instant access to this special opportunity. You can also visit us at skywatchtvstore.com or call 1-844-750-4985 and ask for Golgotha's Groaning right now.
Item number 1 today, an ICE bust in Georgia. This took place late last week at a new battery plant being constructed, joint venture between Hyundai and LG in Ellabelle, Georgia. And the 475 workers arrested were South Korean nationals, arrested by U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. That's ICE. Factory previously touted by former President Joe Biden as a win for manufacturing jobs in the United States. It's just apparently not for American workers. See, the South Korean companies have been using sloppy visa practices for workers sent into the United States to build these manufacturing sites. This is according to a new report by Financial Times. They interviewed sources in Seoul, South Korea about this. Apparently within the industry in South Korea, it's an open secret that Korean companies use the B-1 visa, which allows entry into the U.S. for business purposes, but doesn't allow the holder of the visa to work for pay, which these guys were doing. Apparently the companies were also abusing the electronic system for travel authorization, which allows for short-term business visits. Again, they were overstaying, getting paid to work here instead of American workers. Now, the Korean business community says it's a difficult position because the U.S. government has pushed the South Korean companies to invest billions of dollars in the U.S., but then we want the factories built quickly, which means using South Korean workers because they don't trust American workers, apparently, or because we've got a labor shortage, one or the other. Either way, bottom line here, ICE found a lot of guys from South Korea who shouldn't have been working here, and they presumably will be on transports back to South Korea at some point soon. This week in Skywatch TV, we're talking with Pastor Carl Gallups, his new book, Golgotha's Groaning. It is fantastic. Carl is just finding some just pure gold inside the Old Testament, and not even just in the text, but actually in the characters, the letters, the Paleo-Hebrew characters used to write the text, signaling that God knew right from Genesis 1, verse 1, that it would all lead to Golgotha, the place of a skull where Jesus was crucified. You can watch the program right now at our website. That's skywatchtv.com. You can also watch it over the air, skywatchtv.com/channels, where you'll find our broadcast schedule. You can have us broadcast on your schedule by adding the Skywatch TV channel or to your set-top box or smart TV, whether it's Android TV, Google TV, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, Apple TV. We've got apps for all of those. Just go to their app store, find the Skywatch TV channel, install it, and we'll be there whenever you click the remote. Of course, we're on the internet, youtube.com/@Skywatch Television. Please subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications, and hit the like button. You can also find us at rumble.com/Skywatch TV or download our free mobile app to your smartphone or tablet, and we'll be there in the palm of your hand, whether you're carrying an iOS, Android, or Amazon Kindle Fire device. We've got apps for all of those and links to their app stores at skywatchtv.com/app. Next month, just over 5 weeks away, Sharon and I will be back in Israel. Yes, we are going to Israel now, just as we did last spring, and we'd like to take you along. Still a few seats left on the bus. If you're interested in joining us on a tour from north to south, a look at some of the key battleground sites in the long supernatural war, October 19th through 30th, the dates, the itinerary, and a place for more information, link for more information, and a place to sign up at gilberthouse.org/travel. That's gilberthouse.org/travel. And follow 5 in 10 online. Please follow us on X. That is at 5_in_10, or on YouTube. That is at 5 in 10. Please subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications, and like button. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert. This is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV.